السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم
بسم
الله
الله.
الرحمن الرحيم. كتاب المزارعة. قال قال أبو حنيفة رحمه الله: المزارعة بالثلث والربع باطلة. اعلم أن المزارعة لغة مفاعلة من الزرع، وفي الشرع هي عقد على الزرع ببعض الخارج، وهي فاسدة عند أبي حنيفة رحمه الله. وقال هي جائزة لما روي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عامل أهل الخيبر على نصف ما يخرج من ثمر أو زرع.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل عواقب أمورنا بالخير، ونور قلوبنا بمعرفتك واشرح صدورنا بنور كتابك وسنة نبيك، واحفظنا عن زلل وخطأ في بيان مرادك. اللهم يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير، بك نستعين يا فتاح يا عليم. كتاب المزارعة. So مزارعة is bab mufa'ala, which comes from the word zara. Zara, as you know, refers to crops. Specifically those type of crops that are harvested after one season. So it's planted in the ground, it grows, and then it is harvested. Doesn't remain. And then it has to be re-harvested the following season. So that's normally Zara refers to those type of things. So your wheat, your barley, rice, grains, and whatever else, right? Don't refer to fruit-bearing trees. Because the tree remains. Although you obviously cut the fruit, but the tree stays there. And some fruit can bear twice a year. And you can have 2 seasons and so forth. So that's a different kitab. So muzara'ah refers to the crops. Then, as you know, mufa'ala comes, one of the khawajid of mufa'ala is ishtirak fil fi'l. Then that an action is taking place from 2 parties. In other words, it's a mutual action taking place. As I've explained many times, ضرب زيد أمرا, Zayd Amr. ضرب زيد أمرا, Zayd and Amr were eating each other. So muzara'a means what? There is a exchange of zara' from 2 sides. Or you can say there is a mutual contract between 2 parties regarding some crops. Right? Obviously, that's from the linguistic point of view. As will come in the matan, as will come by an explanation by the author, muzara is where you did kitab al-mudaraba already?
شيء in the person in قدور.
In
It's in the
Kuduri,
person
okay.
قدور.
G, okay. Right, so it's mudaraba is what again? Where one person has the capital, the financial resources, the money in simple terms, and the other person has some skill, is willing to do some work. Understand? So the person with the capital, with the money, he gives that money to this person who has that particular skill or has business acumen, and whatever he earns from there, they share the profits. So that's profit sharing or venture capitalism, if you want to call it that, then, although not exactly the same. Right? So one person is sponsoring the money, putting up the money, the finance, and they obviously agree to whatever venture this person is going to go into, buying used cars or selling computers, whatever. It can be anything that's allowed to do. And whatever, so the money is coming from one person and the effort, the work is coming from another person, and they share the profits. according to whatever they agree. It can be 50-50, can be 60-40, 70-30, whatever they agree. Muzara is the same thing or a similar thing, but it just involves crops. So one person knows how to farm and another person has land. He's got land, he doesn't know how to farm, or he doesn't have time to farm, or he just couldn't be bothered to farm, whatever. So he hands the land over, hands the land over to this person to do the farming. Understand? And whatever crops this person grows and is harvested, whatever profit comes from that harvest, they will share according to a stipulated amount. Understood? So crop sharing. Okay? That was profit sharing. This is crop sharing. Obviously, by crop sharing, I mean the profits from the crop. Okay? Or it could be the crop itself. Right. Now, so that's in short, in Badi, that is what Muzara is all about. So because we just did now Kisma and before that we did what you call the right to Shufa, Kitab Shufa. So now we come to a type of sharing as well between two people again, in a partnership between two people. Understand? Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi says there's no such thing as Muzara. Right? He doesn't allow it at all. It's not permissible at all. Right? Sahibain say, however, it is permissible on the same basis as Mudaraba. Right? They say it's on the same basis as Mudaraba. Only difference is obviously now here crops are involved. Why Imam Hanifa says is coming in front. Right? Understood that so far?
Sure.
Right. قال أبو حنيفة رحمة الله عليه. This is from Kuduri now. نفع الله بعلومه وعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين آمين. قال أبو حنيفة المزارعة بالثلث وربع باطل. المزارعة in exchange, crop sharing in exchange of 1/3, 1/4, meaning in any fraction. 1/3, 1/4 is just mentioned here by way of example, but any amount. See? Muzara'a shared by any amount, irrespective of what? باطل. He's not even saying fasid, he's saying باطل. It's invalid. Right? اعلم أن المزارعة لغة مفاعلة من الزرع. Now, Imam Barghinain rahmatullah is saying, know well that muzara'a, from a linguistic point of view, is on the scale of mufa'ala from the noun az-zar'u, min az-zar'i, which means crops. وفي شريعة هي عقد على الزرع ببعض الخارج. And the definition of muzara'a, the Shari definition. Now remember, just to explain, inshallah, hopefully you get some benefit, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. A one word can mean, or one term can mean different things in different fields. Okay? It's like that in English also. One word can be used by many fields to mean different things. So, for example, the word ism in common usage means one thing. In Nahwa, it means a different thing. Maybe in Usul Fiqh, it means a different thing. Okay? So, in the same way, we have the word azar'u or muzara'a. I gave it a linguistic meaning in the beginning. But the Sharia has given its own definition. In other words, the Sharia has borrowed this word and given it its own technical definition. So that will be the hakiki meaning of muzara in the Shari, in the language of the Sharia. It's like how a particular word in the language of law means something different to what me and you might understand it to be in our everyday speech. Okay? So just keep this in mind so you don't become confused, because this can be very confusing as a student. I know from my experience that you get confused now. Why is this word? What does this word actually mean? Like here, we're using it here and here. Like for example, the word kalima. What does the word kalima mean?
Word.
Word. Yes? You say word?
Yeah.
According to who?
According to linguistic meaning.
Okay, but now, for example, have you heard of kalima tayyiba?
Sure.
Is kalima tayyiba a word or a
No,
sentence? Maaf?
no, it's not a word. It's a
وَمَثَلُ
sentence.
كَلِمَةٍ كَشَجَرَةٍ وَمَثَلُ كَلِمَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ in the Quran. Is it a word or a sentence referring to this?
Sentence.
Understand?
Sure.
So kalima, you told me word. That's because in Nahwa, that is what you were trained to understand, isn't it? We do that
Sure.
in Nahwa. Kalima means word. And then the kalima is divided to ism, fi'l, and harf, yes?
Sure.
Yeah. But in the Arabic language, kalima doesn't mean a word. It can mean a word, but it can also refer to any sentence as well. Like I gave an example, kalima tayyiba, kalima shahada. You follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
So kalima in Nahwa means a word. And it can refer to one or three, but that's a technical definition of the word kalima according to the Nahwiyin. According to the Arab language itself, kalima means something else. So using that as an example, in the Sharia will sometimes, for example, the word salah. If you go look at up the word salah, it doesn't mean those postures that we are making when we go and perform prayer. That's a technical name, or rather, the Sharia has adopted that word, taken that word into its vernacular, into its vocab, and given it its own meaning. Understand? Yes, obviously there will always be some connection between the dictionary meaning and the technical meaning in the Sharia, especially. Understood? There will be some connect there. But just keep this in mind, so because it can be very confusing for a student to get your head around this. Understand? But just keep that in mind. That words can mean different. The same word can mean different things in different fields. So you can have a local meaning, you can have a Shari'i meaning, and so on. And you can have even now what they call it nowadays, an urban dictionary meaning, right? The
Sure.
youngsters use all these funny words. And there's a common word that maybe me and you using. Like for example, the term recently, big back. I've got no idea as to what it means, but obviously doesn't mean the guy's got a big back. And then the little meaning is not intended. I think it means it's a Kimba or something. I'm not sure. Any whatever. Gee. Uh, وفي الشريعة, so in the Sharia, what definition the Sharia is given to Muzara? هي عقد, it's a contract. Okay? It's a contract, very important. على الزرع, a contract upon crops in lieu of a portion of the produce, in exchange for a portion of the produce. Okay? Now here he's saying وهي فاسدة in the Hanifa. In other words, when Imam Quduri used the word batil in the matan, it's not actually invalid but fasid. Now, in the Hanafi madhab, we draw a distinction between fasid and batil in mu'amalat. In ibadat, there is no distinction. Okay, fasid is batil, batil is fasid. Your salah is fasid means it's invalid, completely have to repeat. Understood? In
Sure.
ibadat. But in mu'amalat, because of the usul that we did, is the Sharia the Hanafis, we draw a distinction between fasid and batil. If a deal becomes fasid, it's incorrect. Understand? It's incorrect. And if it's batil, it's void, completely invalid, as if it doesn't exist. Okay?
Sure.
In the Abi Hanifa, وَقَالَ جَائِزَةٌ. And Sahibain say, no, it's permissible. لما روي, because of what has been reported أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عامل أهل خيبر على نصف ما يخرج من ثمر أو زرع, because of what has been reported from Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم that he entered into an agreement with Ahl Khaybar for half of the produce, half of the produce of both the fruit and the crops. Who's Ahl Khaybar and what is this referring to? So I'm sure you do know, but just to clarify. So the Ahl Khaybar, it is actually a series of forts which are the Jewish residents. It was a Jewish compound made up of various forts outside of Medina, approximately, I think it was 200 km or 300 km out of Medina. Sent towards the north, going towards Sham. That's where they stayed. So there were three tribes of Jews in Medina, who were expelled. Two of them were expelled, and the other one who remained there, they were executed because of the treachery in the Battle of Khandaq. And those who were expelled, they moved to Khaybar. There was another Jewish settlement outside of Medina. Okay, so Nabi Sallallahu went to attack them because of the treachery and so forth, continuous plotting and planning. After Nabi Sallallahu went to sort them out, went to deal with them. They told Nabi Sallallahu no, that we will leave us where we are and we'll give you half our produce. So Nabi Sallallahu allowed that. And from then on, he also used to give from his family, for his family's stipend the entire year's nafaqah he used to give from there until he passed away. Okay. In the time of Sayyidina Umar, he told them to move, to get out completely. Okay. He expelled them completely, sent them to Sham, totally out of the Jazeera, totally out of the Arabian Peninsula. So this is Ahli Khaybar. So they say, let's see, this is, now obviously this is argued whether this was Muzara or not. Understand? Because there is no conquered Khaybar. And then he allowed them as a reconciliation to stay there, provided, because they didn't have time to farm. So they were busy with other matters, state matters. So they didn't have time for that. So some scholars argue against this, whether this was Muzara. Anyway, Sahibain used this as a delil to say the sea Nabi Sallallahu entered into because now it belonged to him. Those lands belonged to him. And he allowed them to stay on the land, to farm it, and to give off it to the Muslims. وَلِأَنَّهُ أَقْدُ شَرِكَةٍ بَيْنَ الْمَالِ وَالْعَمَلِ. And second, if it is also a transaction, a partnership transaction between wealth, money, and work, money and labor, just like mudaraba. Okay? So this is a transaction where two people become partner. One is giving the money, the finance, the financier, and the other one is doing the work. He's providing labor. فيجوز اعتبارا بالمضاربة. It will be permissible making قياس upon مضاربة. Profit sharing. Okay? What is the common denominator? Well, جامع دفع الحاجة. The common denominator, the illa between the two, the common factor between mudaraba and muzara'a, because of which we are applying the ruling of one to the other, is daf'ul haja, the removal of a necessity. That's it. There's a necessity in the community from the people to do this, because some people have the skills and some people have the land and no skills. That's it. So by entering into this kind of partnership, it's mutually beneficial to them and to the country, because then everybody benefits from the crops. So there's a great need for it. So therefore, we allowed it. فَإِنَّ ذَا مَالٍ قَدْ لَا يَهْتَدِي إِلَى الْعَمَلِ. Because sometimes a wealthy person, he doesn't know how to do work, doesn't know how to do the work, he's unfamiliar with farming. وَالْقَوِيُّ عَلَيْهِ لَا يَجِدُ الْمَالِ. And the person who has the ability to do it, to do farming, to do the work, doesn't find the money, doesn't find the finance to start the work, to finance his venture. Okay? فَمَسَّتِ الْحَاجَةُ إِلَى إِنْعِقَادِ هَذَا الْعَقْدِ. So therefore a need now arises to allow such a transaction, such a transaction بينهما, between them, بخلاف دفع الغنم والدجاج ودود القز معاملة بنصف الزوائد. Contrary to where one person gives livestock or chicken, poultry, or doodle cause is silkworms. Dood is worm and cause means silk, right? So silkworms. So contrary to where one person is sponsoring or giving, livestock or poultry or silkworms to one person to do the work, meaning that you get the silk from me and sell it, and we share the profits. You take care of the chickens, and either you sell the eggs or the chicken itself, then raise the chickens and slaughter them, whatever, the poultry. Same thing with the livestock, or either the milk or the hides, whatever, and we share the profits. This is not allowed. Okay? Benisf is the white for half of the what you call the Prophet. لأنه لا أثر هنالك للعمل. Why? في تحصيله. Why? That's not allowed. That's why we haven't allowed Sahib and say, because here there's no effect. There's no there's no effect. There's no trace of any labor in obtaining the profits in this case. That animal is doing the job. So this, the worm is producing the silk. The man is not doing anything. He's just collecting it in whatever. Understand? There's no labor in that. You can just hire somebody to do that. You don't have to enter into a contract to do that with somebody. It doesn't take a genius to do that. The same thing with the poultry. And the chicken is laying the eggs. Understood? And so forth. You follow? So he says there. So he said with that we haven't allowed, because what is the other guy doing? He's supposed to be he's supposed to be contributing his labor, but there's no labor for him to do there. That animal is doing all the work. He's merely taking what the animal is doing and selling it. That you can just hire somebody to do. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because there is no labor involved, it's not a labor intensive in order to obtain the profit. So that's where we haven't allowed that. فَلَمْ يَتَحَقَّقُ شِرْكًا. So in these instances, a partnership is not established. Understood that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop there for today, inshallah. Any questions? Anything you didn't understand?
No, alhamdulillah, I just have to go over it one more time.
Okay,
This
inshallah.
last two paragraphs, but inshallah.
The last
The last 2 paragraphs, I'll just go over it again, inshallah.
two paragraphs.
My kitab is 2 paragraphs now.
Okay,
يفهم
inshallah.
لأنه عقد الشركة بين المال. So I'll just go
Okay.
over it again, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, let me know if there is any questions, inshallah. Okay, anything
Inshallah.
else? Inshallah.
No, but I understood the translation and the explanation. I just need to just go over it myself, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. I'll make it easy, inshallah. And like I say, if you're still struggling, you can let us know tomorrow, inshallah. We can go over it. That's why I normally start the kitab a bit slow, because it's something new. Takes time to get used to the terms and so forth, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. خير. Right. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام.